the story pulls you through the bleakness of it, so you're not simply just left like you're being slapped around the face with depression. Hi and welcome to my channel. My name is Sarah and I love to talk about books, although today I had no idea what I was going to make a video about. I'm really short on time, so I'm trying to film this before I go and pick up my wee one from nursery. Hopefully I will get this edited tonight because I'm away at a beer and gin festival tomorrow, so I won't have time to do it then. And yeah, I haven't even finished painting my nails. That's how scattered I am at the moment. But it came to me as I was falling asleep last night that there are authors that I have really loved the one or two books by them that I've read and that I really want to read more of. So I thought I would talk about them today, purely because it gives me an excuse to talk about some of my favourite books, but also because I've kind of got it into my head that I want to be a completionist with these authors. I think it was when I was talking about Donna Tartt, and I've read all of her books, which isn't that impressive because there's only 3. And I thought, I really want there to be more authors that I have done that with. And so I took a look at my bookshelves and this is what I've come up with. So the first author I want to talk about is Sarah Moss. She's got 8 novels, 2 of which I've read and 1 of which I own and haven't read yet. And she's also got a memoir, and I discovered her when I read Summerwater. Oh, sorry, I've just nudged the camera. Yeah, so I first came across her when I read Summerwater, and I absolutely fell in love with her writings. This is set in like a holiday park in Scotland, and one of those ones that's got like little lodges in it, and it's set in one day where it's absolutely chucking it down, and the people who are there on holiday are kind of stuck in their lodges. They're not really doing much. They're kind of looking out the window at what other people are doing, things like that. And we just follow these people through this day. And there's like a family with teenagers, a family with young children. I think there's like a newly married couple, an old couple, and there's also this one holidaying group that are causing a lot of trouble for everyone else in the holiday park. And interspersed with all these kind of character studies of these holiday makers are these lovely bits of nature writing as well. It's really atmospheric, and there's kind of a mounting tension as the book goes on, and I won't spoil it, but the ending really it really impacted me, really affected me. It left me feeling a bit shell-shocked, if I'm honest. And yeah, I just absolutely loved it. I think it was one of my favourite books of 2020. Then I went on and read Night Waking, which is the story of a woman called Anna who is an academic, and she's got 2 young children. And the family, they're all staying on her husband's family's Scottish island. She's trying to finish writing a book on which her career, which has already been badly hit by motherhood and the fact that she works in like this stuffy patriarchal institution, her career hinges on this book, but she's struggling to give her work the time and attention it needs, with all the kind of cooking, cleaning, caring responsibilities of raising her children with a quite frankly useless husband. She also has this desire to be alone, and her conflicting feelings about her role as a mother weigh really heavily on her. Then we have this other added layer that distracts her from her work when a baby's skeleton is unearthed in their garden on this island, and they are also letting out one of the other properties as like a holiday let, and the family, their first visitors to use it that turn up, are pretty dysfunctional. There's also a dual timeline in this book because alongside Anna's story, we also have these letters that were written in the 1800s by a midwife, an English midwife that's been tasked with bringing modern medicine to the island. And she comes up against resistance from the very stoic, silent crofters and finds herself facing kind of a losing battle against tradition and superstition and a language barrier that she hasn't really even considered before finding herself alone in her landlord's house. So although there is the body of the baby, this isn't a mystery, it's pure literary fiction. The discovery of the baby is really a means of getting into the history of the island, and I thought this aspect of the story gave a really good look into the realities of those living in the Highlands at the time, which were really, they were subject to the really brutal, well, their conditions originally were pretty brutal, but then the Highland clearances happened where a lot of landowners just basically pushed people out of their homes and into the bigger cities, you know, breaking up families, all that sort of stuff. And that is discussed in this book as well. And it kind of touches on the wider issue of colonialism and treating people like, basically like cattle. And what I really loved about this book is Anna obviously loves her children, but she simultaneously feels like she wants to escape and like she's failing, and we're given those her thoughts unfiltered. And I found her a really refreshing and funny character. And although her life is a lot different to mine, I could absolutely recognise her struggles and resentments. So from these two books, particularly Night Waking, I've got the sense of the writer that Moss is. Atmospheric, keenly observational, she's classy, but she still has like this acerbic wit, which is just perfection to me, and that's exactly why she's on this list. The book that I own by her that I haven't read yet is Signs for Lost Children. I think this is, well, it's definitely earlier than Summerwater. I think it's probably earlier than Night Waking as well. And this is about a couple who are quite newly married when they are forced to separate. I don't think it's a breakdown of the marriage, I think it's for their careers. It's set in the 1880s, and it's sounds like it's basically just about how they navigate that separation and trying to navigate the trials of their careers as well, which sounds like it's got a couple of similar themes but also different enough to keep it really interesting. The next author I want to talk about is Akwaeke Emezi, who has 5 books, although one called Bitter I believe is a companion to another book called Pet. So I've read one of their books, or they also have a memoir as well and a poetry collection, but I've read one of their books and I have another one that I haven't read yet. So the book that I read, and I talk about this a lot on my channel, is The Death of Vivek OG, which I think is an astonishing book and is quite obviously about the death of Vivek OG. But this is also the story of his life, his family, his friends, his search for freedom to express his identity and the importance of being seen. The book opens with Vivek's body being found by his mother on the veranda of their house, and then we delve into his life to understand how it ended. I was glued to this book from the very first chapter. There's something about Emezi's writing, just their ability to tell a story really entranced me. There's something definitely magic in the writing, and as I got to know the characters, in particular Vivek, but also his cousin Asita, I was really invested in knowing what had happened, what they'd been through. And there is a friendship group in this book which is just so wonderful. This is a really powerful story of the constraints placed on people when their identity, whether that be gender, sexual, or simply their self-identity, is subject to prejudice and denial. Vivek is this wonderful, exciting person, and the story of his death is tragic, not just obviously for him, but also those around him. It's a refusal of so many societies and individuals to see and accept the kind of vibrancy and full spectrum of human existence, which was really at the root of this tragedy. But I love how Vivek is Vivek the whole way through. Just really, really beautiful book. And actually I'd bought this other book and had been wanting to read it, still haven't done it. Reading plans, what are they? Before I'd even heard of The Death of Vivek OG, but this is Freshwater, about Ada, who is seen as this troubled child, and she moves from Nigeria to America, and when she's in America, I think there's like a traumatic situation happens, and these other kind of, I don't know if it's voices or personalities, start to take over Ada, and it's either, because I've not really heard a lot of people talk about this in any great depth, it's either a look at mental health, or I have a feeling, because Akwaeke Emezi is a trans woman, and I wonder if it kind of taps into that experience of being in a body which isn't yours, and things like that. But I desperately need to get to this book. The third author I want to talk about is Claire Fuller, who has 4 novels, 2 of which I've read. I thought I owned one more, but I can't find it on my shelves. So the first Claire Fuller book that I read was Our Endless Numbered Days. I read this book years ago. I think it was like 2017. So way before BookTube, and I looked on Goodreads and I actually hadn't written a review, so my memory is a little bit hazy. But this story is about a young girl called Peggy, whose father is this kind of doomsday prepper survivalist type, and he takes her away to this isolated wilderness cabin somewhere in Europe. I get the sense it was maybe Germany. He tells her that the world has ended and that they are the only people left alive. So as they try to survive off the land, he's clearly on a downward spiral, and Peggy is forced to try and fend for them both. And she's astonished one day when she finds someone else in the woods, and this person helps her, I think, if my memory serves me right, it helps her cope with the desperate struggles of this wilderness life with her father. I would say more, but the ending is deeply disturbing, and I know a lot of people actually hate this book for that, but this book is her debut, and I think it showed that Fuller is a fantastic writer with a real talent for bringing characters fully formed to life and also building tension. And that skill had definitely grown when I read her most recent book, which is Unsettled Ground, which was shortlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction, which is the story of 2 twins in their 50s, Jeannie and Julius, I think, who live with their mum in this dilapidated small holding in the English countryside. Jeannie was diagnosed with, I think it's like a heart condition when she was little, so she's lived pretty much her entire life within the boundaries of the family, staying at home, didn't go to school. And although Julius has had a bit more freedom, he has remained very loyal to the 2 women after the father dies. So when the mother dies, the twins find the walls of their existence being basically demolished by outside forces, and the secrets that their mother kept, which keep creeping out of the rubble. Their story is one of abject poverty, social isolation, and definitely about bonds being tested. It's about what it means to be an outcast, even from your own story, your own history. This book is bleak, but it's also incredibly powerful. Jeannie is an amazing character. I felt every punch that life landed on her, and I was just so impressed with her, because although her resources are scant, she manages to pull and to keep trudging forward. And the helplessness and confusion she feels on discovering, like, time after time that she hasn't hit rock bottom, there's even further to fall, it just totally broke my heart. But like I said, like, Fuller's really good at crafting whole people with her words. So Jeannie's not the only great character in this book. Even people that are only on the page for a short while are really fully realised. And much like with Our Endless Numbered Days, this story builds and builds. And for this one, the height of the drama. This is the first time I really felt like I was like gripping a book. It's so powerful. The story pulls you through the bleakness of it, so you're not simply just left like you're being slapped around the face with depression, because there is humour in here as well. And so similarly to Our Endless Numbered Days, but for different reasons, this isn't necessarily an easy read, but I did find it really rewarding and just a really great accomplishment. And so I think I really need to get my hands on Claire Fuller's 2 other novels. The final author I want to mention has only actually got 3 novels, and I've read 2 of them, and I own the 3rd one, so this is probably my nearest to being a completionist. And it's Diane Setterfield, whose book The 13th Tale was the first one of hers that I read. It had me right from the start. I could not stop reading it, and when I wasn't reading it, I was thinking about when I could next read it, and that's just an amazing feeling. So this is about a small profile, I think, biographer called Margaret. And she's quite surprised when she's asked by the famous author Vida Winters to write her life story. Because Vida Winters is notorious for giving made up stories about her life in interviews. And her most popular book is a collection called 13 Tales of Change and Desperation, but it only has 12 stories in it. So Margaret is intrigued. What is that 13th tale? So she travels to a rural mansion to interview the author. And this is such a gothic novel. It's full of family secrets and strange occurrences. The writing is stunning. I completely submerged myself in the dysfunctional world of Vida Winter's family and their damaged tangle of relationships. I really felt for the characters, and just the whole way through, I desperately wanted to know the truth that was hidden under the burnt mess of their story. I do think I thought the ending was a little bit neat, but honestly, this book could have ended with, and it was all a dream, and I would have still fucking loved it. It's brilliant. So when I got a NetGalley of Once Upon a River, her follow-up book, I was a bit nervous, but I needn't have been. Like the 13th tale, Once Upon a River is gothic and beautiful and haunting, with a really rich and layered narrative, but it's very different in other ways that made me fall for it, or it made me fall for it in its own right. So this is the story about what happens when the body of an unknown child is recovered from the frozen waters of the River Thames. I think this is set in like the 1600s, 1700s. So this body of this child is brought to the local pub where the child comes back to life. And then 3 separate people or families claim this child as their own. I love the characters in this book, and I really loved how the story slowly unfolded. And I couldn't stop turning the pages, all the different kind of lies and backstories as they all came together. And it really made me think that Diane Setterfield is a fantastic storyteller and a really talented writer. So then I bought Bellman and Black, which was this her debut? I don't know, it does have the 13th tale advertised on it, but that doesn't mean that this didn't come first and this is a reprint. Yeah, I bought this and I haven't read it. Honestly, I'm fucking hopeless. So this, I've forgotten what this is about completely. Oh yes, so this is about William Bellman, who enters a business deal with this mysterious man, and I think bad things then happen for his family. I think his wife dies and then his children dies, and it's about this kind of, who is this man that he's made a deal with, and is his life the way it's going, is that just bad luck, or is it something to do with the deal he's made? So I don't know why I've held off on reading this. That sounds gothic and mysterious, and I love her as a writer, and yeah, I just I need to get on it. I think my problem is I'm a bit of a book magpie, and so I'm always kind of, well, as could be told by, I've got so many TBR books that they're piled on top, they're piled behind me, they're piled beside me, and they aren't all of them. I've got other ones upstairs. I just love books so much that I end up kind of losing track of the authors that I really have enjoyed and really should spend more time with and read more of. And I think I've definitely felt this year that I want more of that in my reading life. I want to concentrate on certain authors and really fully immerse myself, because these aren't the only ones. Other ones that came up when I was thinking of this was the Hungarian writer Magda Szabo. I've read one of her books, absolutely loved it. She's got loads of books, but I think only 3 have been translated into English, so that's not many, and I've read one of them already, so I don't really have any excuse not to do so. Annie Ernaux, I read Cleaned Out years and years and years ago. It's always stuck in my mind, and I've always meant to read more of her work. Haven't done it. Maggie O'Farrell. I really enjoyed Hamnet, and I've got her, and it's definitely getting read this year actually, unless the TBR tackle fucks me over. That will be getting read at some point. I am. But I have other ones of her books that I need to get to as well. And I think there is going to be a reckoning soon with my books, because I am going to try and have a library room in my house, and I think I will definitely need to pin down my reading life a little more, so that I am focusing on these fantastic writers that I've discovered, but who still have so many books that I could get to. But I need to go and do mum things and get my kids picked up, fed, dealt with, and then maybe I might have a chance in hell of getting this edited and uploaded tonight. Who are some authors that you adore, but you definitely still have more of their work to explore? I would love to hear. Maybe it will jog my memory about some others that I should probably give some more attention to as well. And so until next time, bye!